Why, hello there. How's it going? Welcome to the Poem Prose's Poetry Hour. Let's get this light up a little bit higher. Hey, this is going to be a fun new experiment. What with the quarantine and all, it just made sense. So we might as well make use of the time that we have. So we're going to hang out and have a poetry hour. And I just kind of wanted to start off with kind of what I think the agenda should be. First, let's have some delicious tea. Oh yes, you cannot have poetry without good tea. Yes. Yes, that. Oh yes, that's nice. Okay. Some tea. That is delicious. Okay, let's go ahead and set some mood lighting. Go ahead and set some better mood. Because with poetry, it's a classic example of where we need to set the right mood. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and grab this book here. Let's go ahead and close this one here. Perfect. The mood is perfect. So, welcome to Poetry Hour. We're going to just kick back, relax, enjoy some tea, talk poetry. I'm actually going to even try my hand at some poetry. I wrote some earlier today on Twitter, and I thought it was just the right size, just the right size to craft a small little quippy. So we'll go ahead and craft that here in a little while. But first, what I wanted to start off with is, poetry is an ancient tradition. It truly is an ancient tradition, and enjoying it these days, a lot of people aren't taking the time to enjoy it. Yeah, just because poetry is really small doesn't mean that you can't take a lot of time to enjoy it. So today we're going to enjoy poetry in a couple of different ways. One of the ways that we're going to enjoy poetry is we're going to read some poetry. And this is Stag's Leap by Sharon Olds. This poem was actually given to me by my friend Michaela. I'm actually going to, this is right here. This is a classic, very classic way of giving poetry to your friends. Is you write down for them what it is that you want them to do to enjoy it and things like that. It says, happy poeming. Thank you for the luck and luxury of your poem. It lives delight. Okay. Michaela wrote this. She's a poetry enthusiast, and she also put her address, in which, when you have people who are your poetry enthusiasts just like you, it's often a really kind thing to do is send poetry to them. So what we're going to probably do is we're going to read through some of this and maybe send my little Twitter poem. Oh, look, maybe I'll write 2 poems today. Let's see. Let's go ahead and... this is great. This is a great poem. So we're going to go ahead and read this 2 times. The reason why is, at least what I learned from my experience going to college and getting my degree in English, was that when you read a poem the first time, you understand it. And then when you read a poem the second time, you can really hear it. So this is The Last Hour by Sharon Olds, and we're going to go ahead and read it now. The last hour. Suddenly, the last hour. Before he took me to the airport, he stood up, bumping the table, and took a step toward me. And like a figure in an early science fiction movie, he leaned forward and down and opened an arm, knocking my breast, and he tried to take some hold of me. I stood, and we stumbled, and then we stood around our core. His hoarse cry of awe at the center, at the end of our life. Quickly, then, the worst was over. I could comfort him, holding his heart in place from the back and smoothing it from the front, his own life continuing, and what had bound him around his heart and bound him to me, now lying. Oh goodness, someone's trying to get a hold of me. What they don't know is I'm reading poetry. No phone calls during poetry. And this is why you read it twice, everybody. This is why you read it twice. Now lying and around us, seawater, rust, light, shards, the little eternal curls of Eros, beaten out straight. Ah, this is great. I'm so glad that I learned that you read the poem twice. You read it twice. First, to understand the words. Second, to grasp the meaning of it. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here on my little phone, so I'm going to go ahead and drop this into Do Not Disturb. Yes, do not disturb me, world. I am reading poetry. So, the last hour, this seems really interesting. A lot going on here. So let's go ahead and take our time and read it again. The last hour. Suddenly, the last hour. Before he took me to the airport, he stood up, bumping the table, and took a step toward me. And like a figure in an early science fiction movie, he leaned forward and down, opened an arm, knocking my breast, and he tried to take some hold of me. I stood and we stumbled, and then we stood around our core, his hoarse cry of awe at the center, at the end of our life. Quickly, then, the worst was over. I could comfort him, holding his heart in place from the back and smoothing it from the front, his own life continuing. And what had bound him around his heart and bound him to me, now lying on and around us, seawater, rust, light, shards, the little eternal curls of Eros, beaten out straight. Wow, that was great. See, it's always reading the poem the second time that it really comes alive. It really does. So what I gathered out of this, and you're welcome to let me know what it is what was it that you gathered out of it? Go ahead. Did you gather something that you like? I can wait a moment. So what I gathered out of it was they're in an airport, and I think it's a breakup. I think it's a divorce. I think it's an au revoir of all au revoirs, and they have like this mix up when they're trying to say goodbye, and they're holding each other for the last time. And this is a very common topic in poetry, that the lovers embrace. It's truly something of awe and wonder that two lovers, two people, right, of completely different worlds, worldviews, and perspectives can hold on to each other and just have just that moment where electrons and neutrons and protons are being swapped in the cosmic array of life, where on a larger scale, the biochemistry of our human beings is swapping pheromones and flesh, and even sweat too. But even deeper, the meaning of the hold, of the grip, of the grab, of the embrace. Life is such that it seems that we are constantly trying to push this away, no to this, no to that, no to this, no to that. But with our lover, we embrace and we hold. And it's what we yearn for, like a mother or a father. Truly, the embrace is something that every poet examines at some point. And I think that Sharon Olds does a great job at the end getting to that very sympathetic and also symphonic is what I'm trying to look for. But it doesn't seem to grasp what I'm trying to get here. Because she says, now lying on and around us. She's again like brings the world about, the listener's mind, because they're in an airport. They have this really crazy like bump into each other. But now lying on and around us, seawater, rust, light, shards, the little eternal curls of Eros, beaten out straight. How cool that sounds. Just the little eternal curls of Eros, beaten out straight. Let's look up what Eros means real quick before we dig into this. I'm actually going to pull out the big dictionary for this one. Let's go ahead and grab this here. So you got to have your big dick. Your big dictionary. Come on, get your head out of the gutter. Okay, so let's go ahead and look up Eros here. Eros. So just so if you're curious, this is the Webster's Third New International Dictionary. I think it's a 1967. This is right before the internet. It's like right before it. So Eros, erode, Eros. Getting closer, guys. Erosion. Eros. Okay, I found it. So Eros is Greek. So that's cool. We got a Greek word here. Eros meaning in Greek sexual love or akin to it. And it's also related to the Greek eristheia, to love or to desire ardently. Ooh, I love it. Let's see. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, the first is plural. Okay. I see. There's a plural form of it, erotes. It could also mean Cupid, unusual to aggregate or pleasure-directed life instincts whose energy is derived from libido, constrained with thanatos, which thanatos means death. Just proving manly dudes can create art too. Thanks, DJ. You the man, bro. You the man. So we're digging into Sharon Olds' poem, Stag's Leap, and we're investigating this word eros. So let's see. We're in 2B, often aspiring, self-fulfilling love, often having a sensuous quality, like desire and yearning. So I think what's interesting about with Sharon Olds is that Eros is beaten straight, like it's little curls, right? Like the curly cues of like the romance. When you think of like the romance or the flourishes have been beaten out straight because you've got these. She's in an airport, and so the lines are all sharp, straight lines of light. And they were all spinning, right? Remember, because it started out, they go to say goodbye to each other and they bump into each other and they're all swirling around, and then straight lines apart from each other. Just, and I think that is just heart-wrenching to think about, that you could be so tied and so tight in little curly cues of what was this? Self-fulfilling love. Self-fulfilling love. Oh, so good. Love it. Love it. So we're going to go ahead and hold this alongside of us. Just set it down here because this is good. I'm glad we have that. So what did you gather out of that? What did you gather out of Sharon's poem from Stag's Leap? The last hour. Maybe I can try and, if you can give me some prompts on what it was that you kind of heard, maybe I could craft a poem. I'm down. Any let's see. Manly dudes can create art too. Love it. Thanks, DJ. Again, that's such a great compliment. Oh, that's good tea. Any prompts? I'd love some. It'd be very, very helpful. Because I think I'm going to write a poem. Got my paper ready. Let's see. Don't be shy. It's all right. Throw something out. We'll name it Eros. Ooh, I accidentally left the red on. Eros. Now check this out. And there. Can you see it? Eros. Oh, it's not very good, but yeah. So Eros. You guys don't know this, but I'm doing two cameras at once. I've got YouTube Live here and Facebook Live here. So Latin phrase about love of one fate. Ooh, good one, DJ. Oh, okay, I love it. Eros isn't one's fate. Right, right, right. Isn't fate in Latin fati, Fati? Isn't that right? Help me out. I don't have I can't Google right now. I've got my computer all used up. Isn't it? I can look it up in the dictionary. Maybe you're faster. Okay, fate. Let's see. EF fate. If you beat me to it, it's going to make this a lot easier. But FA fate. Latin. FE. I've gone too far. Oh, Amora Fati. Yeah, that's great. One. Oh, yes, yes. Love of fate. That's great. Ooh, but I'm going to do Eros Fati, right? Self-fulfilling love. Eros Fati. I hope you don't mind. I mean, it's my poem, right? Okay, let's see. Eros Fati. It's always hard thinking of love. It truly is very hard to think about love, especially when you have an audience. But when I think about love, oh, that's good. Hey, take it easy, DJ. Thanks for joining me. I'll post this on the Instagram, I think. Or dude, if you want, DM me and I'll just send it to you. Okay? Have a great day, man. See breathing of them. It's good. Hey, thanks, Vipin. I appreciate it, man. Really, very nice of you. Let's see. So here I am, Eros Fati. I almost don't want to do the reveal yet, but it's good. I got to review it. I think I've got the wrong word here. I need to look this up real quick. Sometimes I make mistakes. I really do. And when I make mistakes, it's okay. I just learn from it and try my darndest never to do it again. So the word I'm looking up is the word twain. Twain. Because I think I misused it. I think I did. No, I got it. No, it's good. We're good. Twain. It does mean two, so we're good. Ah, I finished it. Done. It's done. I love performing, guys. It's my favorite. So thank you for joining me for Poetry Hour. I made this poem on the spot. It's called Eros Fati. Eros Fati. Okay, so here we go. Eros Fati. Breathing in the still air of the wakening morn, holding skin on skin betwixt each other. She is mine as I am mine for now. And too soon to tell, the birds will call, and what was one shall become twain. And alone I will lie, wondering when I will have my love again. Not bad. Not bad on the spot. So again, we read it twice, right? Because when you're reading poetry and you want to enjoy poetry, first you read to understand, then second you read to have it, to really grab hold of it. Okay, here we go. Eros Fati. Breathing in the still air of the awakening morn, holding skin on skin betwixt each other. She is mine as I am mine for now. And too soon to tell, the birds will call, and what was one shall become twain. And alone I will lie, wondering when I will have my love again. Yeah, that's not bad. I'm going to post that one. Got to put my handy dandy signature on it because, you know, the Poem Pros did write it after all. Haha! There you go. That was a lot of fun to do. Well, so now we've killed some time here. We've enjoyed a poem, looked into the big dictionary, wrote a poem. Any recommendations for some poetry that you'd want to explore or examine? Maybe another prompt to have some poetry written? Go ahead. Go ahead. Maybe you want me to read a poem or examine one? Oh, I love tea. Yeah, if there's a poem that you want me to examine or investigate, go ahead. You can offer it on up. If not, it's okay. I've got a whole book of poetry here that I can tear into. But for now, I'm going to enjoy some tea. So if you take a moment, think about what kind of poetry you might want me to read or examine. Go ahead and let that steep. I'm going to enjoy some tea and rest my voice. Oh, I love Poetry Hour. I love Poetry Hour. You know what? This should become more of a part of my day. Just taking an hour to enjoy poetry. It's so good. Freaking awesome. Stag's Leap. Really good. For those of you joining, I really appreciate this. You know, I often think to myself, nobody loves poetry but me. Nobody. Well, I think that's like my inner Anglican coming out. No, but I love poetry, and I got started reading poetry a long time ago. I think probably some of the first poems we all run into are Dr. Seuss and Shel Silverstein and Mother Goose and stuff like that. I think that those are very common poetry that we all run into when we're children. And then as we start growing up, when we get into like high school and stuff, I think that's when we start to actually investigate poetry a little bit deeper, because words at that age start to mean more to us. Not so much about what do you call it? It's just the abstraction or the fun of words. It's more the self-ascribing meaning that words can have, and I think that that's really exciting. It's truly exciting. So I think when I started writing poetry, which is at a very different stage in my life, was probably while I was an English major up at Utah State University. It was a lot of fun to go. Like, what I would do is I would go to the coffee shop. I used to smoke so many cigarettes. I loved smoking cigarettes because it has this like aesthetic, you're just, oh yes, cigarettes, I read poetry. In fact, I've told people all the time, I'm going to major in French romantic poetry, and I'm going to become a professor, and I'm going to teach people how to enjoy French poetry. You know what's so funny though? I don't even know how to read French, but I was so enveloped in this kind of ego-driven process about poetry for the longest time that that's how it was. I just believed that only the French wrote the best poetry, which is not true. The French are really good at writing poetry. There's no doubt about that. But the Spanish are too, and Mexicans are too, and Canadians are, and the English are, and Germans are. I'll admit that it's really hard as an English speaker to speak German, but I know as a result of like learning about the English language that English is a diversification of French and Germanic roots. We're like 80% of the words in the English language are French. That's just how it goes. Like freedom or independence, like these words that are like very not German. When you think German, right? German are very earthbound words, not abstractions of the mind like independence. Have you ever seen an independence? I don't think so. But with like the word, what's it called? Fork. This is very German. Fork, or like shovel, or like floor. In fact, I could actually probably find out real quick. So why the big dictionary? Okay, why the big dictionary and not just pulling it up online? See, you were taught language as a little child from those before you, and they learned language from those before them. And so language has heritage and a history and a story. So I think it's only natural. In fact, I'd say that it's perfectly natural to have it's perfectly natural for the study of words to come from the heritage. And the dictionary prior to the internet, see, the internet did a really crazy thing to language. It crowdsourced knowledge instead of making it a heritage. So you have all of these people deciding what one word means, as opposed to, well, this is what the word meant here, and this is what the word meant here. Not, this is all these people's opinions about the word. So I'm just really big about a dictionary that's before the internet. So the word that I was going to look up was, like the word fork. I think the word fork is a great one. Let's see, fork, Fork. Yeah, just a second. See, and things take longer, and that's why I like Poetry Hour. We just take our time. Let's see. I'm looking for the word fork. Fork. Fork ball. Middle English, Old English. It's not actually German. It's very much an Old English, or ONF. Old. I don't know what ONF stands for. This is interesting. Let's go ahead and look here. So at the beginning of every dictionary, there's what's called the explanatory notes. Explanatory notes. And they really break it down, bro. Bro. Capitalization, the writing of compounds, guide to pronunciation. Divisions in respelled forms of address. Shoot, I gotta really dig in to try and find this word. This dictionary is so big that I've got to dig into it. So I'm looking for when they talk about the etymology. Oh, here it is. Etymology 7. So the etymology of words is absolutely fascinating, but not something that I've ultimately dug into a lot myself. 7, but where is 7? 2. This is a lot of fun. So the matter in boldface, Middle English, Old English. Oh, NE, so non-English. Ah, that's interesting. So it's a non... Huh, that's really interesting. I didn't realize that fork was one of these words. It's like kind of hard to find where it really came from. But it does seem to come from like Middle English and stuff like that, which is really interesting. I don't know if of any of you who've read like Beowulf and stuff like that. That's really hard to read. Like, it's so funny how, and this is why I think it's really crucial to study the, what do you call that? Heritage? There you go. Lineage, the etymology, as they might say, of a word or words in general. And that's part of why I have a dictionary prior to the internet, is because you can trace how that language changed over time. And yes, the advent of the internet does allow you to kind of see how a word has changed in terms of the group opinion of that word over time. But I think that there's something lost when it's the democratic process of the internet as opposed to the more, oh man, I don't know enough about these words that I think we'll have to study more about that later. Let's make sure that I make a note of this. Also, be sure to have a journal with you when you're studying words. It's really, really crucial. Let's go ahead and get to today's entry. Let's see. The what was the word I used? I used the word, the democratic process as opposed to the oh shoot, what's it called? Democratic versus. Let's just I don't know what'll happen if I answer that. If I answer a call, that means my vlog is going to be over. We've got to keep going. We're so close to a full hour, and this has been literally so rewarding. Democratic versus, what's the word I'm looking for? Authoritarian, right? The authoritarian tradition of etymology. That's interesting. That's a really great topic to explore. It's funny how words in the modern internet era have a democratic process where everybody can weigh in on it, as opposed to prior to the internet, they had a more authoritarian, where it was, I'm the one who knows about the words. This is what the words are. So I think that's really interesting. In some ways, we have kind of like online social credence and social credibility that would give weight to some opinions over others, but the democratic process still exists. Anyway, so this is still Poetry Hour. Thank you very much for joining me. If there's a poem that you want to examine, if there are some words that you're interested in investigating, I'd be happy to dig into it. I just finished this poem, Eros Fati, based on my friend DJ's recommendation. It wasn't Amora Fati like he was asking, but were examining Sharon Old's book, Stag's Leap, in the last hour poem that we were able to grab that. So it was really good. I liked writing that poem. Oh, and some tea. So good. Oh, it's funny. I took the opportunity to say no more caffeine, no more caffeine. And today I just broke down. I was like, I'm gonna go get some tea, and I went and put it in my nice little teapot here. Got this from my friend Hannah's place back when she was still open, and made some tea, and now I'm enjoying it in this really nice mug. I don't know where this mug came from, but it has the perfect handhold. Look at that. Boom. Have you ever... Boom. I've never had a mug that was that perfect. Every single one that I've had is like, you're like trying to hold it, and it just doesn't work. Anyway, so this mug is a good mug. Okay. So now we have the infinity of words that are available to us. We could write anything we want, and now let's go ahead and craft a new poem. Do you have any recommendations for a poem? Any prompts for a poem? I would love some prompts. I love prompts. Nothing big, nothing small is too much for me. I've got some paper ready here. And just go ahead and type out a few words. 1, 2 words. I love it. Anything. Please. I need words. Yeah, I'm just about to write this poem. I just need some prompts. Please, people, give me some prompts. Just type in some words. Anything. Even if it's funny or lame or awesome or stupid. I need some words. Please? Do we have any more tea? Oh, we're out of tea. That means we must almost be done with Poetry Hour. Oh, this is so sad. So sad. What a great prompt. What a great prompt. Okay, we're going to call this one No More Tea. No More Tea. It seems to kind of relate to Eros Fati, but this is going to be called No More Tea. And it's going to relate to Stag's Leap, how we read the last hour. Oh, it's going to be so good. The time has come. The end is here. The worst has happened. My greatest fear. So stupid. I love it. There is no more, none at all. The tea is gone. Oh no. The tea is gone. Dang it. I hate when I have it and then it's gone. So this happens to me all the time. Anybody who's seen me at my events for the Poem Pros, they've seen that like sometimes when you're going through the process of the writing process, you'll get stuck. And when I get stuck with a poem and it's doing really good, I tend to review it. Time has come, end is here. The worst has happened, my greatest fear. It's no more, none at all. The tea is gone. Ah, I don't know a good word that rhymes with all, but dang. Can you think of a word that rhymes with all? It's tough. Let's see. Um, let's see. No more tea is the poem, and it goes, the time has come, the end is here. The worst has happened, my greatest fear. There is no more, none at all. The tea is gone. And I'm stuck. Oh. Oh. I think woe is spelled. There you go. Almost done with this poem. I figured out how to get through it. Um, ooh. Sometimes when you strike, like henpeck style, because I mean, it's fun to type like this with all the digits, but there's something to the henpeck. I don't know. There's just something to it. Ah, that's great. Okay, we did it. There it is. Boom. We'll read it now. Remember, we have to read it twice. Once to understand it, and then the second time to really feel it. No more tea. The time has come. The end is here. The worst has happened, my greatest fear. There is no more, none at all. The tea is gone, and I am stuck indoors waiting for my friend to call. Oh, woe is me to be stuck without the deliciousness of ambrosial flavored tea. Okay, I'm going to read this one more time. Remember, you read it once to understand it, the second time to feel it. No more tea. The time has come, the end is here. The worst has happened, my greatest fear. There is no more, none at all. The tea is gone, and I'm stuck indoors waiting for my friend to call. Oh, woe is me, to be stuck without the deliciousness of ambrosial flavored tea. Not bad, right? Not bad. So, all right. Yeah, we've cranked out 2 poems during this time. Maybe it would be a fun opportunity if you know of a poem you want me to read or to investigate, or if there's a word that you want me to use as a prompt or to explore, I'd be happy to your suggestions. I'm going to go ahead and wait a second here. Oh, I'm out of tea. Oh. Okay, let's see. Let's go ahead and just in line. I just wrote a poem called No More Tea, and now in Stag's Leap by Sharon Olds, I'm going to read The Worst Thing. Good, huh? It's like associating. So we're going to read it twice, once to understand it, second time to feel it. Okay, here we go. The Worst Thing. One side of the highway, the waterless hills, the other, in the distance, the tidal wastes. Estuaries, bay, throat of the ocean. I had not put it into words, yet the worst thing. But I thought that I could say it, if I said it, word by word. My friend was driving, sea level, coastal hills, valley, foothills, mountains, the slope for both of our earliest years. I'd been saying that it hardly mattered to me now, the pain. What I minded was, say, there was a God of love, and I had meant to give my life to it, and I had failed. Well, I could just suffer for that. But what if I had harmed love? I howled this out, and on my glasses the salt water pooled, almost sweet to me. Then, because it was named, the worst thing, and once it was named, I knew there was no God of love. There were only people. And my friend reached over to where my fists clutched each other, and the back of his hand rubbed them a second, with clumsiness, with the courtesy of no eros, the homemade kindness. That sucks. That really sucks there. Ouch. That kind of hurts. So let's read it again to really feel it, okay? Follow me. The worst thing. One side of the highway, the waterless hills. The other, in the distance, the tidal wastes. Estuaries, bay, throat of the ocean. I had not put it into words yet. The worst thing. But I thought that I could say it, if I said it word by word. My friend was driving. Sea level, coastal hills, valley, foothills, mountains, the slope for both of our earliest years. I had been saying that it hardly mattered to me now, the pain. What I minded was, say there was a God of love, and I had meant to give my life to it, and I had failed. Well, I could just suffer for that. But what if I had harmed love? I howled this out, and on my glasses the salt water pooled, almost sweet to me. Then, because it was named the worst thing, and once it was named, I knew there was no God of love. There were only people. And my friend reached over to where my fists clutched each other, and the back of his hand rubbed them. Second, with clumsiness, with the courtesy of no eros, the homemade kindness. That's pretty gut-wrenching, to find yourself at some point in your life. Imagine, if you will, we just finished The Worst Thing, a poem in Stag's Leap by Sharon Olds. Imagine, if you will, for a moment that you're at the beach and your friend and you are sitting there and you're reminiscing about the past and the people you've loved. And imagine, if you will, for a moment that you'd done it all for God, that you loved for God. Like it's a commandment, right, to love. And you realize there on the beach that there's no God of love anyway. Only people. And I think that's a really great place to find ourselves winding down for this poetry hour. That, the quarantine has really brought to all of us the realization that there's really just people. And when there's really only just people sharing stories and sharing words and sharing comfort as best as we can, there's going to be some terrible things that we're going to realize. I mean, I'm not saying that people parked up in their homes are going to be saying, oh, there is no God. But I do know for a fact that the quarantine has made people fundamentally question their belief structure. People can't go to temples. People can't go to churches. People can't go anywhere. All they can do is sit at home and wonder, how am I going to get through this? We all inside of us have done the very best that we could with the things that we have. And I think that that's a really beautiful place to find ourselves in, is that if there's anything that we've learned from the quarantine, is that there are other people and they're all going through struggles, every single one of us. And that's what's great about how The Worst Thing ends, by Sharon Olds. The best way that it ends is she's just told her friend that that there's only people, that there's no God of love. And her friend reaches over and grabs her hands clenched together, just like, oh, she's just like so mad. And her friend just grabs her hands and just holds her for a second. Not out of sensuality, not out of just love for her, for coming to this understanding that there's really only just other people here. And so I think that fundamentally poetry, in a lot of ways, is just about people expressing themselves to other people, and using what other people have given them to make sense of the world. And so for me, the typewriter is just an opportunity to express to other people what it is that other people are expressing to me. If you've been to one of my events, I sit down and I ask you, what's on your mind? Who are we thinking about? And we craft a poem. And today we had the opportunity to craft two poems. We crafted this one called Eros Fati from my friend DJ Sorensen. Thanks again, DJ, for the great prompt. I appreciate that. And whenever you guys want to send words, you're welcome to visit my website and use our order form. It's free. You can just send words wherever you want. And then I wrote a poem called No More Tea. And it's just me trying to communicate with you how much it sucks when you're stuck at home waiting for a friend to call and you don't have any more tea to enjoy yourself with, So thank you so much for joining me in the first episode of the Poetry Hour. I have immensely enjoyed this, like on a level that most of you probably won't understand. At least if you do, let me know in the comments. I do appreciate someone saying this is a nice vlog. I appreciate my friend DJ with his ample comments. That's super nice, man. Thank you very much. I am recording this on Facebook. I'm recording this on YouTube Live. So if it looks a little weird where I'm looking, I've got two cameras I'm looking at. So this has been really enjoyable. And I want to make this a routine or a part of my day to sit down and really dive into poetry and write poetry because it's worth it. People are worth it. I'm worth it. You're worth it. Communicating is worth it, and that's what poetry is. And I think if I go back to the very roots of what started the poem prose, I remember my good friend Peter Rosen. His name, when shortened right, looks like prosen, which I think is so cool. Like prose and like a verb tense, like, oh, I'm prosing, bro. Like, I'm poeming, bro. Like, anyway, that's just my nerd talking. So one of the things that he asked me was, why did this get started? And I was so bashful about it. But what I said was, I just needed to know that people could feel. And it's true. Like, as I've done the poem prose for almost 4 years now, coming to events of all different kinds and writing poems all around the world for people all around the world, it's been amazing how I've had the opportunity to explore some really heart-wrenching feelings that other people are going through, and they've entrusted me with those feelings, which has been really eye-opening. So I want to say thank you again for joining me for the Poetry Hour. This has been a lot of fun. We're now here coming out of time. So I think that this was great. I really enjoyed it. Let's do it again soon. If you loved it, let me know in the comments. If you have some certain poetry you want me to examine in the future, let me know. If there's some words that you want me to really dive into, let me know. If there's some prompts that you want me to write about, let me know. I'm your poet. That's what I'm here for, guys. The poem pros are your poets. So thanks again, guys, and have a really great day. Bye-bye.